because, yeah, we can save there. And now, what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and load from here. Yes. And we remember that there was 3 different options. We kept each other sane. So I'm going to show you guys the I don't know how to answer that iteration. So we already saw these conversations earlier, so we're just going to skip past them. And we're going to skip past Harry's favorite scene. There we go. That fade to black. That's Harry's favorite thing.
You're not just, like, taking the cake out of the oven on the cooking show. You're, like, triumphantly brandishing it by doing this.
That I've already gone through all of this, so of course it's not going to stop for it.
Oh, yeah.
So hold up. Yeah, there's different things in each iteration. Please let me have not skipped too much. Okay, yeah, she's looking at Flynn. Okay, asks if Jenna wants the things back. Alright, I'm just trying to see where it diverges again, because I know these diverge. Mm-hmm. Alright, so Chase then does his interview with Heather, where he actually uses his freaking degree for once.
Yep. You want to know something that's really weird that I learned today? Or not today, just last week?
What?
One of my coworkers has... A double major gives you 2 degrees, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has 2 degrees, and he also minored in psychology. But he works as a truck driver with me.
He must have had a lot of money.
I have a degree, and I work in with people with mental disabilities, so they're very different paths.
I wanted to get a major and a minor, but we didn't have enough money, so it didn't happen.
Are you saying that I make a lot of money, or that he makes a lot of money?
He must have had a lot of money to get all that schooling.
Oh. Well, I don't know. I know he finished it up the same way I'm planning to get back into school, which, by the way, for all of you guys, if I haven't told this yet, unless I mess something up somewhere, I should be back in school by August.
Hey, fantastic.
Ooh, awesome.
And Amazon's going to pay for it also.
Yeah.
Nice. I'll even get to write off my gas mileage, and they'll pay for, which is weird. But anyway, no, he works as a truck driver because the degree he went to didn't actually make him money.
Isn't that the basis for Biden's student loan forgiveness? You kind of like sue the school for false advertising?
Is that
don't
the case?
know.
That's effed up if it is.
I
mean,
know that I still haven't
they don't want to let
paid
go
off.
of the debt, so...
I do know that I still haven't paid off my student loans, even though like I only owe like $2,000 in loans, because of the fact that I'm waiting to see where that goes.
Actually, same.
Because it's like I'm in that weird predicament where I was in college long enough to mess up everything, but also short enough to not really get into debt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's happened to someone else I know.
Hi, kind of just randomly just gonna sum up what's going on right now. The whole thing about student loans got brought up in my US Gov class, so it was signed as an executive order from Biden, but then it was challenged by somebody else, and now was brought to the Supreme Court to decide whether it is constitutional or not. So at the moment, it's a lot of websites that are for student loans and such have a ongoing notice saying that, hey, yeah, some of you during the time when the executive order was in place, for the most part, before it was challenged, you guys are fine. Everybody else, your current fate is sort of in limbo at the moment until the Supreme Court is in session specifically for this. I believe the date that it is going to be, there's going to be some stuff going on for it is and has been pushed back due to numerous other things, but it is currently in limbo.
Okay.
That
That's
makes
just the
sense.
current update on it.
I know what the
Yeah,
Supreme
it
Court would
sounds
think.
like. Sorry, it sounds like, to put it simply, people are saying we don't want all of our debt to go away that people owe us. So we're questioning: is the president allowed to say it's just gone?
Just to kind of really just to close this, so I guess stuff can continue. It was more of a discussion between individual states and their own money and where their money goes to.
Yeah, because I borrowed
It,
from the state of Illinois.
yeah, and it's more so individual states like, hey, well, when do we get our money, sort of thing, and they had an issue with that, so they kind of brought it up nationally. So that's why it's
I
in the Supreme Court.
I always thought that would be a pipe dream because it's just, come on.
But yeah, I'm gonna go disappear again.
Okay,
Alright.
fine. Off to the void with you.
Into the void. Woo.
Yay, the void! I have
Hey,
a
the
vacation home
void's
there.
the void's embrace is always a good one.
Anyway, so I want to start this scene from here. So whenever you're ready, Sam.
Because the name Jasmine pops in my head, and it's all, ooh, that bitch. But I just saw you now, and it all just seems so silly, doesn't it?
Jenna doesn't even seem to react to Heather at first. She shuts off the screen on her phone and exhales, peering off toward the mountains in the distance.
Yeah.
Silence.
Hey, I don't really want this. You can have it back.
Heather nods in understanding, a lopsided smile on her firm-matted face as she takes the bottle from Jenna.
Sorry I rushed off before you could say no. Ha, sometimes I do that. It's okay if you don't drink.
Oh, I do. Socially. Just not here.
Heather looks a little confused, and that's when I realize that Jenna wasn't looking at the mountains. In the distance, I can see the familiar sun-soaked silhouette of a little beige house that's bordered by two saguaro and a lonely dirt road.
Oh yeah? That's cool. Like, sometimes I eat something really rich, and the idea of this just makes me want to vom, you know?
Jenna just nods. Flint spits on the ground, the faint smell of his venom wafting in the breeze for a moment. I'm guessing he bit that cap too hard.
So anything else about Carl?
That's all I know, I think.
You think?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna get the others real quick, so... Bye!
Before we can say anything further, she takes off again. In the distance, I can see her start running, her arms filling with a palsy-like limpness at her sides. I can't help but feel a sort of queasy sensation at the sight. This is what this place does to people. Jenna, meanwhile, just lets out a long sigh.
Props to you for not just smacking the shit out of her.
Oh no. I wanted to. Trust me.
I would have made things harder for this whole questioning business for sure.
If it wasn't for that, I really would have let her know.
You cut off at no.
Dang it. If it wasn't for that, I would have let her know exactly what I think of her.
There's an edged vigor to her words, an old anger bubbling to the surface. Wow. You're pretty intense about all this? I thought you guys just had like a generic high school mean girls troubles.
I tried not to talk about it too much back in the day. Back then, she was rude to me, even when I'd done nothing wrong to her. I figured she was just insecure and left it at that. Then, one night, she came to me with no one else to turn to, tears in her eyes. She claimed she had some pretty serious problems going on at home and wanted to tell me about it. From that point forward, I was ready to defend her, to help in any way I could. Short of going to police, of course, because she begged me not to. It started off as little things, the favors. She was too emotionally distressed to do her homework, so I did it. She couldn't come to class because of a panic attack, and the teacher wouldn't understand, so I lied for her. She needed money to see a friend in Peyton, so I gave her what little money I... This went on for some time. Eventually,
I heard you were saying eventually a car was running in the background.
yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. This went on for some time until eventually enough was enough. I had my own problems, especially at home, and I just couldn't juggle the well-being of everyone. That's not my responsibility. I told her up front that I was going through a tough time, couldn't do these favors anymore, but I was always available to talk. That wasn't good enough, of course. Despite being busy with her fractured home life at school, she still found time to create this elaborate revenge on the one person who cared enough to help. Next thing I know, her latest boyfriend of the week and his friends are pounding on my front door at 8 p.m. And what does he tell Mom and Dad when...
The car again.
Yeah. And what does he tell Mom and Dad when they open...
Man, who the fuck is driving around at 10:15 at night?
Yeah.
Surprising number of people.
Okay. And what...
We should really move to another room at some point.
What are we gonna do?
I'm just gonna point out, like, wherever you would move, it might be better than wherever you are now, because even DJ and you talking right now was cut out.
Oh
Yep.
gosh. Yeah, no, unfortunately, yeah, we'd have to, like, go several rooms down to get away from the road. And yes, the bedroom is basically the only room that isn't that close. Alright, wait until this. Okay. And what does he tell Mom and Dad when they open the door?
She deepens her voice, putting on a dude bro accent.
Yo, I'm looking for Jasmine. She told us to meet out here to get some. So, not only did they convince my idiotic parents that I was fucking 5 guys, including her boyfriend, she told the whole school. I had my pop smashed in a locker, was fired from my part-time job, and lost almost all my friends outside of you guys.
Jenna gestures to the both of us.
She made herself the sufferer in that narrative, the one who had mistakenly trusted the weird, horny anime girl.
Jenna takes in a sharp breath from her nostrils, her composure otherwise completely solid.
And she didn't even have the dignity to atone for her actions when the chance was standing right in front of her. She continues to lie and manipulate her way through every social interaction to make herself feel better. It's the perpetuation of this endless cycle of perceiving herself as a sort of eternal victim, when in reality, it's complete delusion that hurts her and everyone around her.
With the way Jenna rattles off point after point regarding Heather's transgressions, it's evident this is something she thought about greatly. Maybe even rehearsed. I can't believe you never told me any of this.
When I was hanging out with you guys, that whole drama was the last thing I wanted to think about. You know, it was actually Leo who kept prodding me that something was wrong and insisted he help. I suppose he meant well enough.
Down the hill a ways, the dusty shape of two figures can be seen emerging from an old shed. One of them pauses as he sees Heather sprinting off down the road, while the other ignores her and carries on. Alright, and now, even though we're running low on time, I just want to go through the final iteration of this.
Yeah.
We're gonna quickly try and get through it. Alright, this town breaks people, baby.
Yep.
All small towns do.
This'll be a hoot.
This is gonna be fun. I think you've seen this one, right, Sam? Or not Sam, Hannah. Yeah.
Oh,
Apparently I am Jenna.
you are now the Jenna.
But yes, you've shown this one to me.
Okay, good.
Holy shit.
This is gonna be fun.
That's a worse story than the one she just told. Let's do.
Yep.
This is the one for the bad end route, so... We're almost there. God. Heather, get over Keith. He doesn't like you like that.
This also brings up the point of why I think Flynn's route is the best, and Flynn is one of the best characters in this game.
Alright, well, we'll talk about that later, Harry, because literally we have like only 8 minutes, so...
No.
I'm sorry.
Because the name Jasmine popped in my head, and it's all, ooh, that bitch. But I just saw you now, and it all seems so silly, doesn't it?
Jen doesn't even seem to react to Heather at first. She shuts off the screen on her phone and exhales, looking Heather in the eye. She doesn't speak immediately, and there's a sort of latent tension in the air.
Silly isn't exactly the word I'd use.
A dark look crosses Jenna's face, her tail stiff behind her.
Your behavior throughout high school was utterly abhorrent toward me, and I think you know that.
Heather's face drops, the cat clutching her arm.
I told you, my memory is bad, Jazz.
She puts on a kind of babyish voice as she says this, looking sheepishly at Jenna.
Do you honestly need a reminder?
Heather begins shaking her head, but Jenna is already speaking, her tone curt.
You were rude to me, even when I'd done nothing to you. But I figured you were just insecure and left it at that. Then one night, you come to me with no one else to turn to, tears in your eyes. You let me know everything that was going on with you at home. From that point forward, I was ready to defend you, to help in any way I could, short of going to police, of course, because you begged me not to. It started out as little things. The favors. You were too emotionally distressed to do your homework, so I should do it. You couldn't come to class because of a panic attack, and the teacher wouldn't understand, so I should lie for you. You needed money to see a friend in Peyton, so I should give you.
Remember how she said it sounded like this was rehearsed?
This went on for some time, until eventually enough was enough. I had my own problems, especially at home, and I just couldn't juggle the well-being of everyone. That is not my responsibility. I told you up front that I was going through a tough time and couldn't do those favors anymore, but I was always available to talk. That wasn't good enough, was it? Despite being busy with your fractured home life and the stresses of school, you still found time to create your elaborate on the one person who cared enough to help. Next thing I know, your latest boyfriend of the week and his friends are pounding on my front at 10 p.m. And what does he tell Mom and Dad when they...
She deepens her voice, putting on a dude bro accent.
Yo, I'm looking for Jasmine. She told us to meet out here to get some. Not only did they convince my idiotic parents that I was fucking 5 guys, including your boyfriend, you told the whole school. I had my paw smashed in a locker, was fired from my part-time job, and lost almost all my friends outside of a select few great people.
Jenna looks over, gesturing in both Flynn and my direction.
You made yourself the sufferer in that narrative. The one who had mistakenly trusted the weird, horny anime girl.
Jenna takes in sharp breath. From her nostrils, her composure otherwise completely solid.
And you don't even have the dignity to atone for your actions and the chance of standing right in front of you. You continue to lie and manipulate your way through every social interaction to make yourself feel better. It's the perpetuation of this endless cycle of perceiving yourself as this sort of eternal victim. When in reality, it's complete delusion that hurts you and everyone around you.
With the way Jenna rattles off point after point regarding Heather's transgressions, it's evident that this is something she thought about greatly. Maybe even rehearsed. And considering we can look at alternate realities, it was rehearsed.
Hey, sometimes you just get angry and you can't stop focusing on stuff.
Heather stands there with this wide-eyed, slack-jawed look on her face. I can practically feel the burning of Heather's cheeks, the shock of Jenna's words settling in, and her eyes beginning to moisten with tears.
And by the way, it's Jenna now, not Jasmine.
God fucking damn, I know that no didn't come through.
None of it came through.
Wow, okay. Hold on, I gotta pause the video I'm watching. No!
Heather moans lowly. It's like she's trying to refute what Jenna said, but can't form the words. All she can do is make this bizarre whining noise.
You're wrong! You always have to be right, but you're really, really wrong!
Her paws curl into her fists as she shakes indignified. Flynn and I look at each other. Before we can say anything further, she storms off. In the distance, we can see her start running, her arms flailing with a palsy-like limpness at her sides. I can't help but feel a sort of queasy sensation at the sight. This is what this place does to people. Jenna, meanwhile, just lets out a long sigh. Wow.
World's worst fucking psychiatrist, Jesus H. You feel better now?
Jenna looks over to Flynn.
Perhaps. It was cathartic.
I didn't know about most of that. I just thought she was mean to you or something, like standard high school girl stuff.
Yeah. Must be nice getting the chance to do that, huh?
There was some bitterness to Flynn's words.
Probably ain't gonna help us find Carl, though.
It needed to be said.
Flynn grunts, shaking his head some in disbelief.
Right fucking now, though? God damn.
Down the hills away, the dusty shape of 2 figures can be seen emerging from an old shed. And there we go. That's the 3 iterations there.
Wow.
Jenna
How
losing her
fun.
shit.
Yep.
And that's the thing, though, is like, I am very much of the opinion Flynn very much wouldn't have liked it, and he obviously doesn't think that that should have happened. But I still feel that if Jenna would have been like, Flynn, punch her, Flynn would have been like, I.
I mean,
There's
if it helps
probably a
find
reason
Carl-
behind this.
I mean, if it helps find Carl, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. I like Flynn's character so much. So much. And I like his arc so much in his route. And, like, especially in Jenna's route, I feel like in Jenna's route and in Flynn's route, you realize just how much Flynn cared. And a little bit in Carl's route, too, I think. I don't know. I haven't played his route. But I know how much that Flynn cares about Carl in Flynn's route. So I'm assuming it's probably the same.
I guess.
Honestly,
I mean,
we never see him in Carl's.
Damn.
Wait, what did you say?
DJ just pointed out a fact, and that is in Carl's route, Flynn basically fucks off and isn't in it.
Awesome. That's great.
I mean, literally half the cast isn't there for Carl's route. Carl's route is weird because of that.
Wondrous.
Like, I bet you in Carl's route, he's like, honestly.
Yeah, no, Flynn, TJ, and Leo basically dip the second the hysteria starts.
Awesome. But that's the thing, though, is, like, looking at Jenna's route, like, Flynn's route, I realize, like, just how much Flynn actually cares for not just Carl and Sydney, but the entirety of the friend group. To the point that he'd be willing to do some heinous things in their name. But his obsession with Sydney, like, overrides that in a weird way.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is, Flynn's
it's
very
a weird, like,
friend-oriented,
balance.
and the thing is, Sydney was his best friend, and it takes time and a lot of other things for him to let go of that original relationship and not replace, but, like, I guess, like, reevaluate to have a different friendship take over. Because I think, honestly, Carl was about to save Flynn in Flynn's own route. Like, he was starting to view Carl as, like, not a replacement to Sydney, but, like, as a new way forward.
I know I've talked to you, Alan, on, like, a deep breakdown about my interpretation of Flynn's route and how it all works together and why I think it's so good. But I'm not going to go on that now because that's like a 2-hour rant.
Especially because we're pretty much out of time.
Yeah, one thing that kind of boggles my mind when I think about it is just how much in this scene, like, because, like, how much in this scene that, like, I feel both Jenna and Flynn understand. Again, that fact that, like, if Jenna would have just said the word, Flynn would have just beaten Hannah to a pulp. Heather to a pulp. Sorry, Hannah.
You guys need some sleep.
Right,
It's a lot of
Heather.
Have a good night. But, like, just how far Flynn would have gone for Jenna in this moment, and then you look back at Flynn's route about how terribly Jenna treated Flynn, which, to be fair, yeah, it was Flynn's fault. But, like,
I mean, I'm going to point that out, and this is one of the things that I've always had as an issue with characters in various games. You don't get to be the asshole and not have consequences. Flynn is an ass. And he had
that
been
is
an
true.
ass to them, and it was documented and shown multiple times that he's been an ass for over a decade.
And that's
this was his
another
comeuppance,
thing.
was what happened in the story.
That's another thing I like about Jenna too. Is yes, I bring up the point that Flynn does that, as well as the fact that Flynn also is willing to go above and beyond, and to some extent, everybody knows that. But at the same time, Jenna's the kind of person where she grew up in a household where she had to be mean, right? And you notice that when she talks to anybody, and, like, almost everybody in the party, she doesn't, like, if she insults you or tears you down, she doesn't just kick you in the shins. She sits there and flays you alive with her words, just breaking down everything about you.
Well, she had to be able to survive.
Yeah, that's just how she is. So she yes, was she, in Flynn's route, was she wrong to go after Flynn as much as she did? No, honestly not. But she did go way farther than was necessary because that's just how she was conditioned to attack people.
But I will point this out, and I want to point this out regarding Jenna. In all the different routes, in the ones where she starts getting along with Flynn again, it's the ones where Flynn finally proves that he cares about his friends. If she does not see him showing his caring and compassion for his own friends, she's not willing to forgive him.
Well,
That's
she says
why-
that, right? She says it's not enough for him to just say he's sorry, he has to show it.
Because she doesn't get to see him in Leo's route or in TJ's route. In Flynn's route, she doesn't get to see him until they're stuck with each other during the hysteria, and she sees it, and she acknowledges that he is actually trying to keep them safe. And here, in Carl's route, she's seeing it left and right, or not Carl's route, in her own route, she's seeing it left and right, where Flynn is showing how much he cares about Carl.
Which is really funny because in Flynn's route, like, she doesn't, like, it's almost funny, something I always thought was funny is that in Flynn's route, like, he's actually been trying to be a good person for, like, most of the week, but she's still tearing him down, and it isn't until, like, it's revealed that Chase is, like, you know, doing Chase things, where she's like, oh, I messed up.
Well, that's the thing, is she also acknowledges it and moves forward. Like, that's what I like about
really
Jenna.
Doesn't, though.
No,
I mean,
she
she
does.
acknowledges it.
She calls Flynn right before they're about to leave his house and basically has like a small conversation with him. And I will admit she doesn't outright apologize, but she kind of roundaboutly does so.
But yeah, and that's the thing is I'm not hating on that because that also plays into her character of like one of the things is like I don't see Jenna as the kind of person who is very good at apologizing.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is Jenna honestly would fit very well into like a story like Pride and Prejudice. When she makes a judgment about you, she holds on to it.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
It
that's
takes
the
a
thing is
lot
like
of things to shift her opinion.
Flynn is probably my favorite character in Echo.
Hmm.
Jenna is a close second.
I can understand.
But I
admit-
do like their character dynamic.
Yeah, I will admit I've never been a fan of the asshole characters, especially when it's like the asshole's redeemed. They were actually right to be an ass. The only reason why I'm okay with like Flynn here is because they show he was wrong to be an ass, but he was still doing things correctly in the background and was actually trying to be a good friend. He struggles with actually showing that he cares.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I mean, yes, you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong in that sense. I'm saying I don't. Those are not the things I look to in his story to say that I like
my
them.
own criteria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I wasn't saying that's a universal criteria. No, I'm just saying that's the reason why I'm okay with Flynn here. Because, like, a comparison is, I always remember this. Stardew Valley, there's two love interests in there, Alex and Haley, who I don't like. Because they start the game basically, like, bad-mouthing you and saying shit to you. And then, if you woo them over and start being their friend and everything, then they're suddenly nice to you, but they never fucking apologize for trying to be shitty to you at the beginning of the game.
There's only like 3 people in Stardew Valley that I ever tried to woo. Yeah. Those 2 are not on that list.
You know what I mean? They are not nice people at the beginning.
Yeah, there's a difference between like asshole characters that are just assholes and then assholes who are friends, like Flynn is.
They're your asshole.
They're your asshole. And like most of the friends here recognize that
He's my asshole.
Flynn is one of those friend assholes, but friend is so bad at communicating that he really doesn't show it much.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that I will point out is the thing that like really breaks it is his blow up at the river. Him doing that and basically just hounding everyone was bad. But the final thing that breaks it for most of the group is then him going after TJ.
Yeah.
And really hitting TJ for something that TJ was very obviously traumatized about.
I do want to talk on that because I started thinking about you were talking about an asshole character, and I think one of the things Because, like, I love Flynn for just how well written he is, and how well written, in my opinion, his route is. But, like, going back on it, he is an asshole character. That's not, like, debatable.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, when you really look back, he is quite literally the textbook example of, I lost my best friend when I was a kid, and that traumatized me so much I have anger issues.
Mm-hmm. But that's
Which is why he's an asshole.
Well, yes, but the thing is, he was actually shown to be kind of that type of cynical jackass even before that. Like, you can even see it in some of his interactions with Sydney.
That's fair.
Where he was, he was always a bit mean-spirited. And, like, it makes sense, though, because he had a bit of a rough childhood. Like, it's shown that like, there's a reason why he was aunt, because his parents disowned him and kicked him out of the house when they found out he was gay.
Flynn and Jenna have not had a good time of it.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the reason why I also agree with you. Like, if Flynn and Jenna put aside their differences, the two of them could fucking rule Echo with an iron fist.
Yeah, because both of them are kind of the examples of, I make my own future.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's weird because, like, they're both, I make my own future, screw the past. But at the same time, they're both very much scarred and flawed people.
Oh, and the other thing...
In very drastic ways.
Yeah, both of them also don't really have the best way of dealing with the past, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very much.
With
very
Flynn,
much not.
He obsesses about the past. And Jenna, I know this isn't what the story really focuses on, but it really does feel like she tries to ignore her past for as much as she can, because she knows if she doesn't, she obsesses instead. Neither of them really, like, addresses their past and then moves forward from it. But I think, like, it makes sense. They're early 20s, Flynn being, like, the oldest at 25. So, like, yeah, of course they weren't going to be able to, like, move past their past yet. They're too young to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think they both are obsessive. It's just that Jenna, like, realized it at some point and said, I'm gonna try to ignore the fucking best I can because, like... That whole conversation was rehearsed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That's what I was pointing out. Like, she obsessed about that for a while. And she was like... But that's the thing I love about, like, the best iteration. She actually let it go.
Yeah.
She didn't even explain what Heather did. She just went, here, have some bluegill. Because, like, you can even see, like, her... like progression in like how it, like in the worst version she's bitching out, or she's not bitching out, she's giving that big old speech to Heather going like, fuck you for doing this to me. In second tier, she just hands the beer back and goes, we're just gonna let this be. I'll tell my friends the shitty person you are, but I'll let this be with you for right now. Best version, have bluegill, get some real food, we're gonna move on. I don't even need to talk about what you did to me now.
The middle one is the one I ended up with.
Uh-huh. And see, like, that's what I love is, like, for that best version, she just lets it go. Showing that she's trying to be not just, like, the bigger person, but she's just trying to be healthy for her own sake. Because if she does get into it, it's just going to make her feel bad. It's not like Heather's doing anything actively now.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not like Heather's making anything of her life. The girl is here in a fucking trailer park in a rundown, dying small town in the middle of the goddamn desert, fucking baking next to a fucking bonfire at 90-degree heat while drinking. Oh yeah, Heather's living a great life.
Fuck you, whore. This is my best life. Fuck you.
I will point out, like, there's a lot of things wrong with Heather. And you guys have already figured out Heather is a villain. We haven't gotten into her full backstory yet. Heather is my favorite of all the villains in Echo. She's not like the one that I find scariest, but she is my favorite.
Is she really a villain in this arc?
Yes. Think about the ending, Harry.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Here's the thing. I really do feel bad for Heather. She did not have a great time. Mm-hmm. Like, same way Jeremy didn't have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love the talk, but I'm getting sleepy, so I'm gonna head to bed.
Okay.
Bye, good night.
Go ahead and wrap this up here, so say goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, at some point, Alan, we need to sit down and record my 2-hour rant. Okay, goodbye.